This is the easy to consume 15-minute football frenzy known as Football Nation, starring the incredible Nate Burleson and your boy, Uncle Timmy. What up, Nate?
What's up, baby? Easy to consume like fast food. Let's get right to it.
All right, man. We're going to have a few more full calories as opposed to the empty calories in this one, Nate Dog. All right, we start the clock. Set a timer for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
With this. Counting down. More concerning as we speak, the possibility of some good teams going 0-2 or the Mexican government holding a meeting in Congress where they film the unboxing of aliens.
Hey, and this is exactly why I love you. This is why I love you. Hey, let's talk about it, baby. First of all, them aliens, they look real to me. But it was concerning that the guy called himself a UFOologist. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I call footballs for a living. I don't call myself a receiverologist. I don't call myself a dunkologist. I don't call myself a chocolateologist. I just don't add ologist at the end and expect you to believe I'm an expert. But I will say this, I do hope that aliens are real because I just want them to come down here and shake things up. Because right now, humans, you know, we're beefing with each other. Maybe a good distraction for us to actually come together as a world, as a human race, is to see something out of this world. All right, let's get back to football, though. It's not really my concern right now, though, because I feel like this first game of the season is always the sample. It's the one thing that can allow you as a team to be uber confident going into the month of December, or it's for you to taste a little blood in your mouth. You look at the Cincinnati Bengals, right? All the hype in the world. They've been going to the postseason year after year. Joe Burrow comes off this huge deal, the highest player in the NFL. Joe Burrow, Joe Thorough, Joe Shiesty, Joe Icy, all that. But he just didn't look good, and neither did the offense. Let's keep in mind, banged up in the offseason, didn't have a preseason, and this is exactly what happened last year. I just feel like it's a little bit more concerning this year because there was nothing about that offense that made me say they'll catch their rhythm sooner than later. I didn't see anything out of that offense that made me believe that they were going to figure it out sooner than later. That didn't look like a September team. That looked like an October squad. And I hate to say that about a team that I actually picked to go to the Super Bowl. So for me, it's trouble in the waters in Cincinnati.
All right, you know I try and come with the stats, or at least try to. So this 0-2 start, bad boy, something I go to every year, and it reads that since 1970, over 90% of the teams that start 0-2 go on to make the playoffs. Less than 10% make it. But the Bengals were that team a year ago. They started 0-2 and they ended up making the playoffs. So I'll throw in the Bills, Cincy, the Chiefs, and the Seahawks, because I know you got some love for Seattle, and they're facing another team that you got some love from in Detroit. Yeah. Any of those teams worry you about an 0-2 start and maybe not living up to the expectations we had for them?
The reason that I'll put the Bengals at the top of the list is because I do feel like the AFC North is pretty loaded. Like, you know, the records might not necessarily reflect it. I just feel like it's a tough competitive division. Right now, as it stands, you don't see Cincinnati running away with that like we did the last couple of years. I do believe this new retooled Ravens offense is going to be fantastic. The Bills, I hate to be so critical of this team, but this window is so small. And I know there's a lot of people that might be Buffalo Bills fans saying, "Hey, you're being dramatic. What are you talking about?" They got pretty much the same roster. They have the same technology, even some young players that they can throw on offensive, defensive, special teams. Yeah, but they don't have Dable. Like, we forget how big of an impact he had on that offense and the flow of that team. Now he is sitting there coaching the Giants, and talk about a shellacking. He has his host of problems he has to deal with, but I don't think that they have proved that they can move on without one of the best coordinators that they have had in a long time. So the Bills are also concerning for me. So those two teams, and those are my two favorite teams coming out of the AFC, were the Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills. I just thought it was such a disappointing opener. Now, you listen to both quarterbacks, they'll say, well, you know, we'll be okay. It's just week one. We're not going to panic. Yeah, it's true. I was a football player too. I wouldn't panic after week one. It's just not what you expect out of a team that we all picked to be a representation in the AFC.
All right, so we all know that stats are like a sexy red video. They show a lot, but they don't show everything. Yet. But we need to ask: Is this a super stat or a meaningless number? Josh Allen has now thrown 9 picks in his last 5 games, including the playoffs.
No. Listen, Tim, I feel you. Stats are like BET Uncut. They show a lot, but they don't show everything. I mean, they get pretty damn close though.
Tip drill.
BET Uncut was wild.
Yes.
Speaking of wild, so is that stat, and it is concerning because there was a moment last year where we thought the Bills were far and away the best team, and we were all sitting there saying, "Yep, I called it," even though none of us really did. We were all claiming it, and then Josh Allen had this moment in the season where he just started to struggle to take care of the ball. He reminded us of what Kyle Brandt, my old co-host of Good Morning Football, called sugar high Josh Allen, where he would just try to do so much in the moment that he would put his team in a bad position. He tried to run over a guy, or he's getting tackled in the backfield. He'll spin around and throw the ball in a bad direction. The DB would pick it off, or he'll get hit by multiple guys. The ball will pop out, or he would get hurt. I'm starting to see a little bit of that, Josh Allen. And this isn't me saying that he shouldn't be aggressive, because what makes him good is also the risks that he takes. But sometimes you just have to dial it back. And I do believe it's difficult. You know, was it hard for Vince Carter not to dunk on people early on in his career? I'm pretty sure, man. Yeah. Blake Griffin, yeah, the same thing. Was it hard for Allen Iverson not to use the crossover, even though the league was starting to call carry? Yeah. Is it hard for Josh Allen when it's 3rd and 15 and he's trying to squeeze the ball through a window because, one, he has a skill set, he has the arm, he has the vision, and he's done it before, not to make that pass? I do believe so. But Josh needs to know you can't keep throwing these interceptions. Like, there's no great quarterback or no Super Bowl winning quarterback that has these long streaks of turning the ball over as a passer. He just has to learn when to kind of fold his deck. And we forget he's young. He hasn't been in the league that long. And maybe that takes time for a quarterback to know, let's just live to play another down. So, yeah, to answer your question in a very long-winded way, that is a very concerning stat.
Also concerning, all the hype surrounding Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays in, jam done. Your reaction to all that went into those 4 offensive snaps and all that have come since.
It was such a roller coaster ride, especially being out here in the New York, New Jersey area. Listen, man, I don't want to pin the Giants versus the Jets because they have enough of that beef out here in the Northeast. But when it comes to the Giants, they have this hubris they walk around with, and they are confident. When they're having a terrible season, they still walk around with their chest out, their chin high, higher than Jets fans. The Jets can be balling out, 10-win team, and they'll still be walking around dejected, almost waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, you know what? This is going to go bad at any moment. The reason I bring all that up is because for the first time in a long time, I didn't get that feeling for Jets fans. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel like they were waiting for something bad to happen. They finally thought they had it figured out. They made the moves they need to make in the offseason. The defense is a squad that can hold a team to 20, 17, or 15 points, which means all you need is a veteran quarterback that can come in, and if he needs to win you a game, he can do that, but most likely just go out there and not lose the game. Aaron is that guy, and so much more. He goes out there, 4 snaps, and then snaps his Achilles. It was tough, man. It was tough to see. And then they end up winning the game with Zach Wilson, credit to him. But, like, think about that duality. And on one end, these Jets fans are waking up saying, well, we won the season opener, and Zach Wilson played well. On the other end, all their hopes and dreams with Aaron Rodgers leading them to a Super Bowl like Brady did in Tampa are down the drain. I felt bad for the first time in a long time for a fan base, and that was the Jets. I do feel like Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. By the tweets and what I'm hearing around the facility, he's not done, which is quite shocking. And Achilles, at this age, he wants to bounce back and still play. Maybe that $75 million is more motivating than we think.
The night is darkest before the dawn, and I shall rise yet again, Nate Burleson. I shall rise yet again.
I shall rise. It was intense. And you know what? kind of felt it though.
Did you?
Because
Yeah.
he could have disappeared and went into the quote unquote darkness, which is rehab. You're ready for surgery, post-surgery. You can buy yourself with an injury like this, you can buy yourself 4 or 5 weeks and nobody can hear from you. But Aaron was like, you know what? I'm about to send this tweet out and let my team know. I'll say this. I'll end it with this.
Okay.
They have a good run. They make it to the playoffs, get close to the Super Bowl, let alone maybe even win it. If they have a special season, Zach Wilson plays well. I know you're like, wait a minute, hold on, chill out. If
Cowboys this week.
If Zach Wilson has a good season and they're in the playoffs and they have a good run where Jets fans can be proud of this team, and Zach looks back and says, Aaron, thank you for what you've done for me this season, which means Aaron needs to be on that sideline with the headset on, making sure that he gives Zach Wilson all the gems that he can. Because, bro, for $75 million, I'm going to need you to turn into Jackie Moon, coaching the Flint Tropics. You got to be out there, player/coaching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. Reggie Dunlop slap shot, Canadian reference. So he already had the injury to the calf, and the NFLPA calls for grass everywhere. Everywhere. You played old school turf. There's a new school turf. Is this just an overreaction to one play because it was a pretty boy, or is the PA right here?
I think the PA might be onto something. When you look at the players' injuries that have happened over the last handful of years, a lot of guys that play at that same stadium on that same grass, they complain about it because here's what artificial grass is. It's very fast, somewhat soft sometimes, depending on the weather, on regular natural grass stadiums. But with the artificial grass, there's these rubber pellets that serve as like the dirt, if you will. And it kind of grabs at you. So when you plant, if I'm taking off, I can get off fast. If I get hit, I know what to expect. This isn't cold grass on a soggy day of rain. This isn't hard grass when it's snowing. This is the same type of texture and feel every stadium. Only bad thing is, because it grabs and doesn't give as much, if you plant your foot and those cleats get caught into that field turf, and your body is saying, hey, I have a little bit more movement to go on that plant, and your cleat doesn't move. Now that energy, listen, I am no doctor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn last night. What I'm saying is that pressure rides up to a certain area. There with Aaron Rodgers, there was the Achilles, a lot of knees that you see. I planted on grass and I hurt my right knee. I planted on field grass. Field turf, and I tore my ACL. So I've injured myself on both. I do feel like if I could choose, and you would hear this, I think a general consensus, more guys say, if I could choose, I would go natural grass.
All right, well, you would know more than I. Listen, his ex, Aaron Rodgers' ex, Matt LaFleur, looks pretty good. The offense of the Packers looks pretty good. They've got Atlanta, New Orleans before Detroit. Could go on a little run here, but no offense. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. Look better than the Miami Dolphins in week 1. Can Tyreek Hill be the MVP, Nate Burleson? And I know what I'm saying when I say that.
That's a really good question. And I'm going to have to answer it with yes. The reason I say that is because most of the times when you have a receiver putting up major numbers, they'll give it to the quarterback.
Right.
Tua might not have the largest numbers in the air because some of Tyreek Hill's most explosive plays this season could come from screen plays, short passes, even running out of the backfield, which means he's going to do more than be a wide receiver. And I'm not being dismissive of Tua. Tua was cooking. Yeah. And for everybody that is talking about Tua, leave that man alone. He came back from an injury. I don't care if he's a little bit thicker than he was last year. Maybe he's built for being in the pocket and taking some shots. I don't care if he's skinny, if he's thick, if he's tall, if he's short, if he's right-handed, if he's left-handed. Tua Tagovailoa is one of the better quarterbacks in this league, and I think this year he will end up being in the top 10, maybe even top 5 conversation of quarterbacks if he stays healthy. Back to Tyreek. Tyreek can put up those numbers, and because some of those plays will come from short passes, and it's not just, oh, the quarterback was playing phenomenal. Yeah, Tyreek can do it. What do you have, over 200 yards week 1? Mm-hmm. Like, this is week 1. And let me just say this, Tyreek is rewriting what it means to be a wide receiver. Like, there's little guys now that were told, hey, little dude, you got to play H-back and running back, and you got to play nickel back. You can't play wide receiver. Now those dudes are lining up on the outside, running past cornerbacks, and it's a copycat league. You'll see a lot of Tyreek Hills coming up in the next couple of drafts.
No non-quarterback has won MVP since Adrian Peterson in 2012. No wide receiver has ever won NFL MVP. We need some more toe drag swag at the top. Hey, before I let you go, we don't normally do college, but I gotta ask you, like, I don't know if I've ever seen, as my buzzer goes off, the timer is ended. I gotta give it to you. We're gonna go over 15. Have you ever seen a story like Deion Sanders is writing right now? Go.
Prime time. Shout out to prime time. Hey, listen, and to all you coaches out there, let Deion do Deion. Like, leave him alone, man. Because listen, you guys gonna keep poking the bear. You're gonna see what this all about. Like, Colorado is for real, offense, defense. And speaking of a guy that hasn't done something before, Travis Hunter, he might end up winning the Heisman if he continues to play the way he's playing, offensively and defensively. He's doing something that not even Deion did, and Deion was one of the greatest athletes of all time. I think they're for real. Now we are moving the goalposts. Instead of saying, oh, man, they're going to win a handful of games, and that's a win for Colorado. Now we're saying they'll definitely go to a bowl game. And what if Deion goes undefeated? Could they make it to the college playoffs? If they do, and we'll have a different conversation about this at a different time.
Okay.
It will change the landscape of how college football and professional sports hire. We're talking about that cocky, young player that can exude confidence. You will see a lot more of those guys get jobs. Deion's opening up doors in more ways than he even realizes right now.
Every AD in the country is already asking, where is the next Coach Prime? And this is like one of one. Like, I don't know. Like, I know what you're saying. There are a lot of people who
There isn't one.
There isn't one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There isn't one. But there will be copycats now.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of guys that play with that confidence, like say Chad Ochocinco wanted to coach and really put his effort into coaching. He's the type of guy that can exude that type of confidence. I just feel like Deion is changing the game, man. And yeah, he is a one-of-one. I'm curious to see what he's going to do moving forward, but I do believe Colorado is for real.
The only one that I thought of immediately that worked for me was Richard Sherman.
Oh, Richard Sherman.
You know, the intellectual and that swag, that confidence.
And that swagger and confidence. Oh, I like that right there.
Hey, Nate, I like talking football with you. Thanks for doing this as always. And what you say, next week we do it one more again?
Let's do it next week, baby. I'll see you then.